don't know whether you've noticed it, but my talks to you have been one butt after another. Sum up what I've said, and it's something like this. You've got to get the correct sight picture every time you aim at a target. But this correct sight picture is not enough. You've got to take the correct firing position. But the correct sight picture and the correct firing position are no good unless you squeeze your trigger with a steadily increasing pressure. But you've got to master rapid-fire principles, learn to coordinate, so that you take your position, aim, and squeeze your trigger in smooth rhythm at a fixed speed. But even then, you won't necessarily hit what you're shooting at unless you adjust your sights properly for range and wind. Today, you're ready for one more lesson, and one more but. You're not ready to start shooting live ammunition until you know how to zero your rifle. Now, no two men are exactly the same. No two men aim or hold their rifles precisely alike. And when a man shoots, he does it in his own particular way. No two rifles are exactly alike either. You can't see the difference between two rifles of the same make and model. But take my word for it, no two rifles have precisely the same effect on the bullets they fire. That means that every man must adjust his rifle for its little individual peculiarities, as well as for his own. For example, your rifle may shoot a little to the right, or a little low. Now, the error may be with you, or it may be with your rifle. In any event, that error has to be found for each range, and your sight adjusted so that you'll hit exactly where you aim. There's one good thing about it. Once you know your zeros, you know them for keeps. As long as you've got the same rifle, those zeros won't change. So you keep them in your scorebook, and you fix them in your memory. They're your zeros, and you need them in your business. All right. How do you go about zeroing? In this company, you'll zero your rifle first at 200 yards. Well, I don't want you to pay any attention to the range scale on your rifle. It's not set, and it may be off a mile. Do this instead. Run your sight down as far as it'll go. Then, run it back up 10 clicks, because 10 clicks is the average 200-yard setting for all men and all M1 rifles. All right. You've taken 10 clicks elevation for your first shot. What about your windage setting for the first shot? To begin with, whatever the weather's doing, center your wind gauge. Set it so that the long lines of the index come opposite each other. And if there happens to be no wind, leave it centered. Let's see how it would work on a calm day. You've taken 10 clicks elevation for 200 yards, and your wind gauge is centered. You aim. You squeeze off your shot and call a dead center bull. And you score a 4 at 7 o'clock. Here. Now you've got to correct both your elevation and your windage. How much? You can tell from the dimensions of your target. At 200 yards, it'll be an A target. Your bullseye is 10 inches wide. It's 5 inches from center to the edge of the black. The 4 ring is 8 inches wide, and the 3 ring is 10 inches wide. All right. Your bullet hit here. Take the elevation error first. These lines are here to make it easier for you now, but you can do the measuring in your head. Here's your shot. Here's center. Your shot's this much below center. That's 5 inches on the black, plus, say, not quite half of the 4 ring. Call it 3 inches. 5 inches here, and 3 here. You're 8 inches low. How many clicks of elevation to bring the strike up to dead center? Connie.
At 200 yards, each click will move the strike 2 inches. 4 clicks up to raise it 8 inches, sir.
Right. Now, you've already taken 10 clicks as your first setting. So, when you take 4 more, you'll have a setting of 14 clicks. And if this should be exactly right, to bring your next shots up to center level, that would be your elevation 0 for 200 yards. But remember that this is only an example. I'm showing you zeroing in its simplest terms to begin with, so you'll understand the general principle. Actually, when you go out to zero your own rifle, you'll be allowed several shots to make sure your setting is right. Your first correction may be perfect, or it may not. Your second shot will check it, and you may have to make another change for your third shot. The elevation 0 for 200 yards may be more than your original 10 clicks, or it may be less. That's what you'll have to find out. Now let's go on with the problem. 4 clicks brought this strike up 8 inches. But that would make your next shot hit here. That's 5 inches to the left on the black, plus, call it 1 inch in the forering. 5 plus 1, 6 inches. You've got to move the strike of your bullet 6 inches to the right. How will you do it? Carol.
3 clicks right, sir.
Good. 3 clicks of right windage. We've moved the hit 4 clicks, 8 inches up, 3 clicks, 6 inches to the right. There is no wind blowing, so we started with the wind gauge centered. And now you have the setting that ought to make the bullet hit where it's aimed. Ought to, I said, because this is still an example. And I've simplified it to make the figuring clear. But you've got to check your own corrections by firing several shots before you can be sure of your zeros. Now, let's see how we zero your rifle when there is a wind. You simply adjust your wind gauge to correct for the wind it's blowing. Once you've done that, you go on with your zeroing exactly as if you were on the range in a dead calm. Let's see how it works. Say you're firing at 200 yards again. So, you take 10 clicks of elevation. Now, this time, you have a 15-mile wind from 8 o'clock. You start by making an allowance for the wind. What allowance will you make? Monahan.
The range in hundreds of yards, sir. That's 2 for 200 times the wind velocity, that's 15. 2 times 15 is 30. Divided by 10. Well, 30 divided by 10 is 3. So you take 3 clicks, sir. 3 clicks left windage.
Good. 3 clicks left windage to take care of the wind. As a starter, you've got 10 clicks of elevation for the 200-yard range. And 3 clicks left windage for the 15-mile wind at 8 o'clock. You're ready for your first shot. Correct position, correct sight picture, correct trigger squeeze. To make it simple, let's say you call a center bull again. You've disked a 4 at 4 o'clock. You figure exactly as you did before. Elevation first. What's your elevation error? Field.
I'd say the hit's about 2 inches below the bottom of the black, sir. That'd be 7 inches low.
Right. 7 inches low. So what do you do?
To raise it 7 inches at 200, you'd want 3.5 clicks, sir. You take 4, sir.
Correct. 4 clicks up. But you've already got 10 clicks. What does that give you?
Your original 10 clicks weren't enough for this rifle. You take 4 more, that gives you 14. So your elevation 0 at 200 yards